For decades, a small group of pharmaceutical executives and government bureaucrats have controlled America's health policies from behind closed doors. But today, something unprecedented happened in a congressional hearing room that has Big Pharma executives calling emergency board meetings. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was supposed to be on the defensive. Instead, he brought evidence so damning, several committee members were seen frantically making phone calls during the recess. So what happened in that hearing room? Why are pharmaceutical stocks plummeting right now? And what did Secretary Kennedy say that made one senior health official immediately resign? And when they tried to derail the whole hearing, hold on tight. And with all the shocking revelations about our nation's health system, it's no wonder millions of Americans are concerned about their blood pressure. The stress of learning these truths can send your numbers through the roof, and that's why I want to tell you about a breakthrough formula that's helping Americans take control of their cardiovascular health naturally. Just like Secretary Kennedy is fighting for transparency in healthcare, this formula fights for your heart health. Made in the USA, a GMP-certified facility is helping patriots stay strong. Visit withgary.com and get 40% off for Next News viewers. Okay, we've got Tom McCullough. He's on the ground at the White House. We're going to get to his breakdown. We've got more clips, but you already see it. Look at this. Look at what's happening. Okay, Capitol Police apprehended protesters who threatened RFK Jr. at a hearing today. This is the price RFK Jr. pays for threatening Big Pharma's influence on our government. When I saw this clip roll across my news feed today, I literally jumped. I'm like, are you kidding me? Watch.
Or with less. The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects. Jesus.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individual hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Or with less.
Now, a friend of mine, Shannon Croner, she posted this very clip to Facebook. And this is what she said. She said that Ben & Jerry's co-founder, Ben Cohen, was among the protesters removed from RFK Jr. hearing on HHS budget. I guess the liberal hippies forgot what peace means, and their motto, peace, love, and ice cream. But as Governor Pritzker has really said, Republicans should know no peace, right? And this is the result of all of that rhetoric. Yeah. Fireworks in that hearing. Now, check this out. We've got Tom at the White House. Watch as RFK Jr. shuts Democrat fear-mongering on measles. You are wrong. The truth about vaccines and public health exposed in epic congressional clash. HHS Secretary standing firm against misinformation.
Dead wrong about. Hey guys, this is Tom McCullough reporting from the White House with the Next News Network. So today we saw a powerful moment in Congress where Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a key figure in President Trump's administration, stood up against fear-mongering. During a heated exchange with Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, RFK Jr. corrected her on her claims about measles, saying, "You are dead wrong about what you said." This moment highlights the administration's commitment to truth and transparency, especially when it comes to public health. And especially when congresswomen have pink, purple hair and crazy glasses. Check this out.
Let me address your first issue first, because I want to correct you. We have about 1,100 measles cases in this country. The growth rate last year was 15 additional, so we have plateaued. Mexico has roughly the same number with a third of our population, and they got 300 extra quick cases last week. Canada has more measles, 1,500. They have 1/8 of our population. Western Europe has about 6,000, which is 10 times the number that we have.
Well,
you are wrong about what you said earlier.
RFK Jr.'s appearance at Congress today was not just about correcting misinformation. It was in broader defense of the Trump administration's health policies. Despite facing tough questions from Democrats like DeLauro, who expressed horror at his stance on vaccines, RFK Jr. remained steadfast. He emphasized that his personal opinions on vaccines are irrelevant to his role, focusing instead on data and the real impact of diseases like measles. This hearing also touched on significant cuts to the HHS budget, a move that aligns with President Trump's promise to streamline government and reduce wasteful spending. RFK Jr.'s leadership is a testament to the administration's dedication to putting America first, ensuring that our health policies are based on facts, not fear. And that's all from right now from the White House. Stay tuned for more updates. This is Tom with the Next News Network, and God bless. Hey, guys.
Right on, Tom. RFK, just spitting straight facts. I love it. I mean, he was the perfect pick. Now, if you remember, I wanted him to be the vice presidential nominee, but no. He is far more powerful in his role at Health and Human Services, and this is only the beginning. Let's keep going here. Anna Matson. Sorry, but I'm not cutting this clip. RFK Jr. completely puts Congressman DeLauro in her place. You should see every minute of it. First, he destroys her claim that HHS is not managing measles properly. Then he had to explain to Congress member about budgeting. The administration is asking for less money for 2026, yet DeLauro thinks he's asking for less money for the current fiscal year. Even the chair had to remind everyone that. Finally, Secretary Kennedy completely dismisses the claim that he is closing programs. Allow me to answer that by pointing out the absolute cataclysmic disorganization of this agency under your oversight for 40 years. Let's, oh man, this is like a circus. This is like a freak show. Anyway, let's listen.
NIH research. You are proposing measles issue, Mr. Secretary. You keep comparing the U.S. to other countries. If you compare us to Europe, but the Europe you are referring to is the WHO European region. That's 53 countries in Europe and in Asia, including those with low vaccination rates like Romania that has never eliminated measles. If you compare us to Western Europe countries that we often compare ourselves to, like Great Britain, they have seen no measles death this year. Let me move to the NIH. In your testimony, you say you want to quote, and I quote, rescale our biomedical research budget, unquote. Excuse me, but that's BS. You are not rescaling NIH research. You are proposing to cut it by $20 billion. And according
either way, I'm happy with that.
To our colleagues in the Senate, NIH has effectively cut research funding by $2.7 billion this year in comparison to the same period last year. That's a cut of 35% during that period. That includes cutting cancer research by 31%. This is the report put out by the Senate, Trump's War on Science, which goes into detail about how we are, in fact, dealing with cutting scientific research. Mr. Secretary, are you freezing or withholding funding that Congress appropriated in 2025 for life-saving NIH research?
Let me address your first issue first, because I want to correct you. We have about 1,100 measles cases in this country. The growth rate last year was 15 additional. So we
just played this clip, so I'm going to skip
measles.
ahead.
Oh, you are wrong about what you said earlier.
We can discuss that, but I think one has to consider whether or not we're dealing with decades of data proving how effective and safe the measles vaccine is. I want to move to that. I want my questions answered. Are you freezing and withholding funding that Congress appropriated in 2025 for life-saving NIH research?
We are not withholding any funding for life-saving research.
Okay. Do you commit to following the law?
Of course.
Fully obligating funding that Congress appropriated. We appropriated. It is the law of the land for NIH research.
What a stupid question. Are you going to follow the law? I mean, we should probably be asking that of these people.
And to obligate those funds by September 30th of this year. Or are you planning to break the law by impounding congressionally appropriated funds?
If you appropriate me the funds, I'm going to spend them.
We have in the bill. You are cutting the NIH by $18 billion, or you're proposing to cut it by $20 billion. The Congress appropriated those funds. It passed into law. It's part of the 2024 budget, and we are under a continuing resolution that has adopted the 2024 numbers. How then can you justify cutting $20 billion from the biomedical research budget?
If you appropriate the money to me, I'm going to spend money.
Have appropriated, Mr. Secretary.
Then I'm going to spend it.
Then you're going to spend it. You're not going to cut $20 billion from the NIH.
The White House proposal is to do very, very large cuts at NIH.
Well, that is contrary to the money appropriated.
Ranking member.
Yes.
If Congress appropriates me the money, I'm going to spend the money. You have the power of the purse here.
Thank you.
You know that.
Thank you for reiterating that. But I think that I'm not sure the administration really has internalized that. Particularly, Mr. Vogt hasn't internalized that when he says that we can in fact impound money. The money is there. The 2020 budget includes the funding for the NIH. Will you commit to spending the money that is in 2024 in that budget?
As I said, ranking member, if you appropriate the money, I'm going to spend that money.
The money has been appropriated. So the answer to that is if you're not willing to accept the funds that have been lawfully voted by members of the House and Senate on the money for the National Institutes of Health. We're going to hold you to your word that funding is there. It should be transferred from 24 to 25, and you've cut already $20 billion. Let's get that money back. Let's get that money back. You have an obligation to carry out the law and to implement what the Congress has done. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Chronic disease and tobacco. Tobacco use is a major contributor to chronic disease and is a leading preventable cause of death in our nation. Each year, killing nearly 500,000 Americans, costing the nation nearly $250 billion in healthcare costs. CDC's tips from former smokers media campaign alone is estimated to have saved more than $7 billion in healthcare costs by helping more than 1 million smokers quit. Why did you eliminate CDC's Office of Smoking and Health, an office that reduces the number of kids using tobacco products, helps order tobacco users to quit, and saves taxpayers dollars?
We have, under the reorganization, and I'm going to talk very, very broadly, because as of 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, we are under a court order not to do any further planning on the reorganization. And I've been advised by my attorneys and not to talk about it. But I will just say broadly, many of the programs that the Democrats are now saying were cut at CDC were not cut at all. Those programs were transferred to the Administration for Healthy America. But I'm not permitted to talk in any more detail because of a court order.
I know we're just dealing with words. You transfer it here, there's less money overall for the agency, therefore there's less money for the programs. In both 2024, 2025, Congress, again, power of the purse resides here, appropriated $246 million for CDC's tobacco prevention programs. Do you commit to following the law again, fully obligating those funds so that we can help adults who want to quit using tobacco and prevent teens from becoming addicted?
Allow me to answer that by pointing out the absolute cataclysmic disorganization of this agency under your oversight for 40 years.
Boom.
We had
Right there.
9 separate offices of women's health. When we consolidate them, the Democrats say we're eliminating them. We're not. We're still appropriating the $3.7 billion, but we're not keeping all 9. We had 8 separate offices for minority health. We eliminated 1. We had 27 HIV offices.
Okay, let me just, I'm going to interrupt.
We had 59 behavioral health programs.
I'm well over time. If you could just get us what has been eliminated, why you're doing it, and the criteria by which.
He just said it. Redundancy. How many HIV offices do they need? Seriously.
the elimination has occurred. That is information that this committee needs in order to be able to do our job in terms of appropriating funds. Thank you.
And
for
we
your
will
indulgence.
gladly provide that to you, but right now we're under a court order that prohibits us from doing so.
Okay, before we go on, I just want to say, we also need to make sure that we bear in mind that he's here talking about FY26 funding. So he is committed to that. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear. We're talking about FY26 on this.
With the measles issue, Mr.
Holy
Secretary.
cow, man. Oh, man. I am so happy that RFK is in there. Okay, so check this out. You guys remember when the White House updated their COVID website? Well, now we have RFK under oath in a congressional hearing declaring that gain-of-function research has no place in our society, implying COVID was, in fact, engineered.
We've also proposed a methodology for regulating and for determining what is dangerous gain of function and what is legitimate scientific investigation, and how to bring the public into that debate, which I think, as you point out, is absolutely critical. That is where we messed up last time. And as you know, we have some of the Democrats here who are, talking about the great science from NIH, but now we have major agencies, intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the DOE, and the State Department have all agreed that NIH research almost certainly led to the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So that's not the kind of the result that we should be allowing or enabling, and we're going to end that now.
Thank God. And it's about time. Okay, so we've got some more RFK Jr. going nuclear on the Democrats for politicizing children's health.
You say that anybody
Dean.
thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions. Look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Lori, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
Wait a second. Wait. We got to hold the phone. I think we know where the food dye is going, to Congressman DeLauro's hair and her clothing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to digress. I didn't mean to sidetrack, but I just couldn't help myself.
You say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
I'll give you that credit.
All right, so let's...
Oh, she said it. She said it. Do you hear that? She said she gives him the credit. For 20 years. He calls her out. 20 years. What it takes 20 years? They couldn't even get it done. RFK steps in, boom, done. It shows you how much waste and time, energy, just rhetoric, talking points, just to make people think that something's happening and nothing gets done.
Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
I'll give you that credit.
All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake. We can all do
Dean.
that together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. There's just kids, and we should all be concerned with them.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Dean.
How do you-
Mr. Secretary.
Anybody
Dean.
thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions.
God bless him, man. Oh, here we go. We've Bernie Sanders asking the question, should we give tax breaks to billionaires and throw kids off Medicaid?
35. All right, we talk about austerity, doing more with less, but in that very same bill that is being worked on in the House right now, there are $235 billion in tax breaks for the top 0.2%. Do you think that makes sense when that same bill would throw 13 million people off of Medicaid? Should we give tax breaks to billionaires and throw kids and others off of Medicaid.
You're conflating the congressional bills with proposals from the president. The president
No, I'm talking
is
about
not
the
making
congressional bill. I'm talking about the bill, the reconciliation bill.
I mean, the president is not trying to do tax cuts for billionaires. He's trying to have no tips and no tax.
$235 billion by
How many
estate
people?
tax.
How many billionaires do you know that are making overtime or make any part of the
$235 billion. Look, it's a big bill. There are a lot of provisions in it. All right, we talk about austerity.
RFK Jr. says corruption at the NIH is the sole reason that there isn't a cure for Alzheimer's. I used to work in a nursing facility. I used to travel to nursing homes. I work with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. I mean, I've seen firsthand the devastation it causes, not just for those individuals, but the people, the families. And it's heartbreaking. Imagine if there was a cure. But he says it's corruption is the reason.
Is the worst the trajectory, so that we're going to really focus narrowly on chronic disease, ending the chronic disease epidemic, and then we're going to make sure that the science cannot be corrupted. And every scientific study is replicated. That the raw data for those studies is published. That the peer review for those studies is published. And we're going to focus on making sure that we get to younger scientists rather than the old boys network. And I could talk to you about scientific corruption all day long, about horror stories that we know have happened within NIH. One of those, probably the worst, is the amyloid plaque scandal. For 20 years, we were, because of utter corruption and fraud, we were directing Alzheimer's research to one hypothesis, and any other hypothesis was shut down. We should have the cure for Alzheimer's today. We don't have it purely because of corruption at NIH.
Ms. Frankel.
We are going to have it quickly.
Ms.
Thank you,
Frankel.
Mr. Secretary.
Why do you think they need to cut the budgets? Because of all the corruption. Where's the money going? Just wasted on research that goes nowhere. Just padding the wallets and bank accounts of the lobbyists who don't go ahead and spend it back with Congress, Big Pharma. You know, this wasn't just a hearing. It was the beginning of a seismic shift in American healthcare. The revelations that Secretary Kennedy brought forward today will fundamentally change how we think about public health policy. But here is what everybody should be asking. How deep does this corruption really go? Who else is involved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And you know what else is dropping? The inventory at our merch shop. Patriots across the country are standing up and making their voices heard. So click the link in the description, because when the mainstream media tries to silence the truth, we need to shout even louder.